The Ugly Duckling. The Ugly Duckling is played by Larry. The ducklings are played by the color crew. Mommy Duck is played by Tilly. Once upon a time, there was a family of ducks that lived in a wonderful water fountain. There was a mommy and her kids, Donnie, Deborah, Dana, and Denny. They all had beautiful, fluffy yellow feathers, shiny beaks, and their quacks sounded like lovely music. Every Sunday, families would come and visit the fountain, feed the ducks, and watch their tricks. The best trick was Donnie's diving duck. It was a very special trick. Donnie would toss a ball into the fountain, dive under the water, and bring it back up in his beak. Everyone loved it. One day, the mommy duck had an announcement. There was going to be a new duckling joining their happy family. She pointed to the egg sitting in the nest. Soon, the egg would hatch and the duck family would have a new duckling. The ducks couldn't wait. They were so excited to see their duckling sister or brother. They waited and waited until one day, the egg finally started to crack. The duck family gathered around and got ready to clap for their beautiful new duckling. But they didn't clap. This duckling was so different. He didn't have soft yellow feathers or a shiny beak like they did, and he wasn't as gentle as they were. Instead, he was red all over, with a huge beak the size of his head. And his quacking was more like a loud honk. Oh no! They didn't know what to do. The mommy duck went over to quack hello to her little baby. She didn't care if the duckling looked different. She loved him anyway and named him Dave. But Donnie, Deborah, Dana, and Denny weren't so nice. They didn't like their new brother because he was so different. They didn't call him Dave. They called him the Ugly Duckling. They laughed at his loud honk, and they wouldn't teach him any of their tricks, especially the most famous trick of them all, Donnie's diving duck routine. One day, when the families came to the fountain, Donnie was going to perform his spectacular routine. Donnie stood at the top of the fountain and threw the ball down towards the water. But the ball didn't hit the water. It landed on the ground and bounced away. Donnie flew after it, trying to catch it in his beak. But the ball kept bouncing and landed right under a big, heavy stone. Donnie tried with all his might to move the stone, but it was too heavy for him. As he struggled to free the ball, the crowd was waiting for him to return with the ball in his beak, but Donnie didn't come back. He was too embarrassed. Oh no! Donnie couldn't do his trick. Just then, the Ugly Duckling came running out and said he could help Donnie get the ball from under the stone. Donnie wasn't sure how he could help, but he wanted the ball back and stepped aside so the Ugly Duckling could try. The Ugly Duckling flew as fast as he could to the rock. He lowered his shoulder and pushed until he finally shoved the heavy stone off the ball. Donnie picked up the ball with his beak and returned to the fountain. The crowd let out a big cheer. After everyone stopped clapping, Donnie thanked his new brother for saving the show. He even gave him a big hug. Just then, the rest of the ducklings came over and lifted him up on their shoulders. They paraded him around the fountain. Suddenly, he didn't feel sad or ugly anymore. He started quacking his special quack and waving his feathers. He felt happy because everyone appreciated him, not for how he looked, but for who he was. That night, the ducks apologized and said, "We're very sorry we were mean to you. Will you forgive us? We promise never to call you the Ugly Duckling again. Instead, we will call you Dave Duck." "That sounds great," Dave Duck said as he splashed his feathers in the fountain. He felt special and loved, and they all lived happily ever after. The end.